the silence dark, whispers in the midnight park. The night is cold, there's no escape. Ghostly figures take their shape.
Welcome to Real Talk Horror Edition. I'm Josh, and I'll be your guide through the chilling, mind-bending world of psychological horror. This is where we explore films that prove the scariest monsters don't always have claws or fangs. They live in the twists and turns of our minds. In this series, we're diving into movies that mess with your sense of reality, make you question what's real, and take you on a psychological roller coaster. Some movies use jump scares, but these films, they haunt you because they make you think. Today, we're continuing our journey with part 2 of our series, focusing on paranoia and the unknown. These films aren't about what's right in front of you. They're about what you can't see and what you don't know, and just how that certainty can drive you to the edge. Our film today is The Others from 2001, a movie that perfectly captures that eerie sense of isolation and mystery. It was directed by Alejandro Amenábar, who didn't just direct the movie, he also wrote the screenplay and composed its haunting musical score. This is the kind of movie that pulls you in slowly, with whispers in the shadows, creaky doors, and characters who may not be what they seem. So let's get comfortable. Well, as comfortable as you can be when you're about to explore a creepy, fog-covered mansion filled with secrets. Turn down the lights, but maybe leave a nightlight on, because we're about to step into the world of The Others, a place where nothing is what it seems, and every shadow hides a story. The Others is set in 1945, towards the end of World War II, and tells the story of Grace, a devoted and strict mother played by Nicole Kidman. Grace lives in a large, isolated mansion on the English coast with her 2 young children, Anne and Nicholas. These children have a rare condition that makes them extremely sensitive to sunlight, so Grace keeps the house in darkness. Thick curtains cover every window, and she insists on strict rules to protect them. One day, 3 new servants arrive: Mrs. Mills, an elderly but kind housekeeper, Mr. Tuttle, a quiet gardener, and Lydia, a young, mute maid. From the beginning, the servants seem strange but obedient, and they quickly settle into their roles. However, not long after their arrival, Grace begins to notice unsettling events around the house. Doors open on their own, faint whispers echo in empty rooms, and Anne insists she has seen the others, shadowy figures that seem to share the mansion with them. Grace, deeply religious and protective of her children, tries to make sense of the strange happenings. She becomes increasingly paranoid and desperate to uncover the truth. As the eerie events multiply, the line between reality and imagination begins to blur. Is the house truly haunted, or is Grace losing her grip on reality? What makes The Others so gripping is its ability to build suspense without relying on flashy scares or gore. Instead, it uses quiet, subtle moments, like a curtain fluttering, a child's fearful whisper, or a shadow flickering in the corner of your eye to create an atmosphere of dread. By the time the story reaches its shocking conclusion, we're left questioning everything we've just seen. This movie is not just about ghosts or spooky noises. It's about isolation, belief, and the secrets people keep hidden, even from themselves. As the layers of the story unfold, The Others pulls us deeper into the mysterious world, leaving us on the edge of our seats. Now let's dive deeper into the psychological elements that make The Others such a haunting experience. This film is more than jump scares or spooky ghosts. It's a carefully crafted puzzle that plays with your mind and emotions. Grace, our main character, lives in a world where she can't trust anything. The house itself feels like it's playing tricks on her. Doors open and close when no one is around. Whispers come from empty rooms, and strange things happen that she just can't explain. Is the house haunted, or is Grace imagining it all? The story creates a powerful sense of unease by making us feel just as unsure as Grace. We start to question everything. Are the servants trustworthy? Are Grace's children telling the whole truth? Or is something darker manipulating Grace into doubting her own sanity? This constant uncertainty is a hallmark of psychological horror, and it really keeps us hooked. One of the most fascinating parts of The Others is how it blurs the line between what's real and what's not. Grace believes she knows what's happening in her own, but as the story unfolds, cracks appear in her version of reality. The film cleverly uses small, unsettling moments to make us wonder if Grace is a reliable narrator. For example, the sunlight allergy her children suffer from seems real, but is it? The strange way the servants behave raises more questions. Everything you know about the story shifts as new clues are revealed. This theme of perception versus reality is at the heart of the film and is what makes it so memorable. Grace is a complex and deeply human character. She's a mother who would do anything to protect her children, and her fierce love for them drives much of the story. But her strict, almost obsessive rules for how the house is run hint at deeper struggles. Is her controlling nature a way to cope with fear, guilt, or something else entirely? As the story progresses, we see Grace's confidence unravel. Her paranoia grows, and she becomes more desperate to figure out just what's happening. This descent into uncertainty makes her both sympathetic and intriguing. Watching her fight to hold on to her family and her sanity is one of the most compelling parts of the film. The Others does a great job in showing just how the fear of what you can't see can be more terrifying than what you can. This film doesn't rely on flashy special effects or constant scares. Instead, it uses the unknown to create suspense. The locked rooms in the house are a great example. Why are they locked? What's inside? The movie takes its time answering these questions, letting the tension build. The eerie sounds, like footsteps or whispers, add to this feeling of dread. Are these noises from ghosts? Or is Grace's mind playing tricks on her? The film also keeps the others in the title mysterious for much of its runtime. Who or what are they? By leaving so much to your imagination, The Others taps into a universal fear, the fear of the unseen and the unexplained. In The Others, every element, whether it's the story, the characters, or the setting, is designed to make us question, doubt, and feel unsettled. It's a perfect example of how psychological horror can be both chilling and thought-provoking. Let's take a closer look at how The Others builds its spooky atmosphere and sets a tone that keeps us on edge from start to finish. This film is a wonderful example of how sights, sounds, and settings can create a world that is both real and unsettling. The The way the others looks is like stepping into a painting that's been drained of color but filled with shadows and secrets. The mansion is lit in a way that makes everything feel dim and muted. It's not just nighttime darkness. It's the kind of darkness that feels heavy, like it's pressing down on you. This choice makes the house feel cold and unwelcoming, as though the walls themselves are hiding something. The camera work is just as important. The director uses long, lingering shots that make you feel something is about to happen, even when it doesn't. Sometimes the camera will move slowly down a hallway or stop to focus on a closed door. These moments, they make us hold our breath because it feels like there's something waiting just beyond the frame. Alejandro Amenábar uses tight, close-up shots of the characters' faces. This helps to draw us into their emotions. Grace's fear, the children's confusion, and even the servants' mysterious expressions. By showing us these close-ups, the film makes us feel like we're right there with them, sharing in their unease. Sound is one of the most important tools in The Others. Every creak of a floorboard or rustle of fabric feels amplified, like the house itself has come to life. The sound design makes everyday noises, doors opening, wind rattling the windows, feel strange and unsettling. There's almost no escape from the tension because the house is always making noises that keep your imagination running wild. The music, also created by Amenábar, is soft and subtle. Instead of big, dramatic music cues, the soundtrack sneaks up on us. Sometimes it's barely noticeable, like a low hum in the background, and other times it swells just enough to make our skin crawl. What's really clever is how often the film uses silence. When the music stops completely, it makes the scenes even scarier, because silence lets our mind fill in the blanks. Now, let's talk about the mansion itself. This house isn't just a place where the story happens. It feels like it's alive with its own personality. The mansion is huge, but it's not welcoming. Its heavy curtains block out all sunlight, making the rooms feel like caves. Every corner seems to hold shadows, and every hallway feels like it leads somewhere you don't want to go. The layout of the house adds to the feeling of being trapped. Grace and her children move from room to room, locking doors behind them to keep something out, or maybe to keep something in. It's a maze where you can easily lose your sense of direction, both physically and emotionally. This confusion mirrors the story, where nothing is quite what it seems. Even the furniture and decorations play a role. The house is filled with heavy, old items that look like they've been there forever. These objects add to the feeling that time has stopped inside the mansion, making it a place where the past is still alive and the present feels like a ghost. The cinematography, sound, and setting all work together to create an atmosphere that feels thick with tension. You don't just watch The Others, you feel it. The visuals make the house look eerie. The sounds make it feel alive. And the setting makes you believe that there's no escape. This combination of elements creates a tone that's perfect for psychological horror. It's not about jump scares or gore. It's about slowly pulling you into a world where every shadow might be hiding a secret, and every silence louder than a scream. By the time the credits roll, the atmosphere has done its job. It's left us looking over our shoulders, even when we're back in the safety of our own home. Now, let's take a closer look at the characters in The Others, each one adding layers to the story, making it more mysterious and exciting. This isn't just a tale about ghosts, it's also about people, their emotions, and how they deal with fear and uncertainty. Grace, played brilliantly by Nicole Kidman, is the heart of the story. She's a devoted mother who will do anything to protect her children. Her love for them is clear, but so is her strictness. Grace is very controlling. She runs the house with firm rules, like keeping all the curtains closed to protect her children from sunlight due to their rare condition. At first, you might think she's just being careful, but as the story goes on, her need for control starts to feel like something more. There's a fragility to Grace as well. Beneath her calm and proper exterior, she seems nervous, even scared. Is it because of the strange things happening in the house? Or is it something deeper? Perhaps something she's hiding from herself? The more we learn about Grace, the more we wonder, can we trust her version of events? This makes her a fascinating character and adds to the tension. Now, the antagonist, or in this case, the lack of a clear one. The Others, much like many films in this series, doesn't have a traditional villain like a monster or a killer. Instead, the main source of fear comes from Grace's own doubts, fears, and the eerie, unexplained happenings in the house. The antagonist is more like a feeling, a constant sense of unease that something isn't right. Is the house haunted? Are the servants hiding something? Or is Grace's mind playing tricks on her? This psychological approach is what makes the film so chilling. It's not just about what's out there, but also what's going on inside the minds of the characters. The supporting characters add even more mystery to the story. Grace's two children, Anne and Nicholas, played by Alejandro Amenábar and James Bentley, are crucial to the plot. They're intelligent and curious, but also very different from each other. Anne, the older sister, is bold and outspoken. She often challenges Grace's rules and beliefs, which creates tension between them. Nicholas, on the other hand, is more timid and cautious, always looking to his mother or sister for reassurance. The children also have their own secrets. Anne claims to have seen and heard things in the house, things that shouldn't be there. Her stories make us wonder if she's telling the truth, imagining things, or if something truly supernatural is happening. Nicholas, while less vocal, adds to the mystery with the fear of the unknown. Then there are the three servants who come to work at the house: Mrs. Mills, Mr. Tuttle, and Lydia, played by Fionnuala Flanagan, Eric Stykes, and Elaine Cassidy. From the moment they arrive, they seem strange. They know things about the house that they shouldn't, and their behavior is often unsettling. Mrs. Mills, in particular, has a calm but eerie way of speaking, as if she's hiding something. Lydia, the mute servant, adds to the tension because her silence makes her harder to read. Together, these characters create a web of uncertainty. Each one seems to know more than they're letting on, but none of them give clear answers. This keeps both Grace and the audience on edge, constantly questioning what's real and what's imagined. By focusing so much on the characters' emotions, The Others becomes more than just a ghost story. It's about how people cope with fear, loss, and isolation. Grace's strictness, the children's secrets, and the servants' odd behavior all build a story that's as much about human psychology as it is about the supernatural. In the end, it's the characters and their many layers that make this film unforgettable. They keep us guessing into the very last scene, and even then, they leave us with questions to think about after the credits roll. Another fascinating part of The Others is how much meaning lies hidden beneath the surface. This is not just a story about a spooky house. It's packed with symbols and deeper ideas that make you think. Let's take a closer look at some of the visual metaphors, psychological symbolism, and social commentary that make this film so memorable. Let's start with the curtains. In the film, Grace insists that every curtain in the house stay closed to protect her children because of their rare condition that makes sunlight dangerous for them. On one level, this seems simple. She's being a good mother, keeping her kids safe. But the curtains also represent something deeper. They show Grace's need to shut out the outside world, both physically and emotionally. Think about it. Curtains block the light, but they also hide things. Grace uses them to keep out what she doesn't want to see, like the truth about what's happening in her home. This small detail becomes a powerful metaphor for how people sometimes hide from reality when it feels too painful to face. Then there's the house itself. It's big, dark, and isolated, much like Grace's own mind. The locked rooms and endless hallways reflect how trapped she feels. Not just in the house, but in her own thoughts. Every creak and shadow feels like it's watching her, almost like the house itself is alive, holding on to secrets she's not ready to uncover. On a deeper level, The Others is a story about denial, grief, and guilt. Grace is a character who is deeply affected by her past, though she doesn't fully realize it. Every event in the movie ties back to these themes, even if it's not obvious at first. Denial plays a huge role. Throughout the film, Grace is determined to keep everything in order. She follows strict rules, demands obedience, and insists that everything is normal. But as the story unfolds, we start to see cracks in her perfect image. It's as if she's built a wall around her mind to protect herself from truths that are too painful to accept. Grief is another major theme. Without giving away spoilers, the film explores how loss can shape people's lives in ways they don't always understand. Grace's actions and emotions are all tied to this deep sense of loss, even if she doesn't fully realize it. Finally, guilt adds another layer. Sometimes the scariest thing isn't what's outside the house, but what's inside your own heart. Grace's journey in the film is as much about confronting her own guilt as it is about dealing with the strange events in her home. While The Others is primarily a psychological horror film, it also offers some subtle messages about society. For example, the story critiques isolation, not just physical isolation, but emotional and social isolation as well. Grace's strict rules and need for control keep her family cut off from the rest of the world. This isolation creates an environment where fear and misunderstanding can grow. The film also touches on the dangers of rigid beliefs. Grace is deeply religious, and her faith influences how she raises her children and interprets the events around her. While her beliefs give her strength, they also blind her to certain truths, keeping her stuck in a cycle of fear and denial. This raises important questions about how our personal beliefs can sometimes limit our understanding of the world. So why does all this symbolism and subtext matter? Because it makes The Others more than just a scary movie. It's a story that works on multiple levels, inviting us to think about big ideas like fear, loss, and what it means to face the truth. When you watch The Others, pay attention to these symbols. Look at how the curtains, the house, and even the smallest details hint at the deeper struggles of the characters. It's these hidden layers that make the film so haunting, not just because it's scary, but because it feels so real. When it comes to pacing, The Others is a fantastic example of how a slow-moving story can still be thrilling. Some horror movies jump right into the action with lots of scares and surprises, but The Others takes its time. The slow burn. Instead of scaring you right away, the movie slowly builds up the tension. At first, it feels like a quiet story about a mother and her kids living in an old, spooky mansion. But as the movie goes on, small, strange things begin to happen. Each event adds another layer of mystery, pulling us deeper into the story. This slow burn works so well in this film because it gives us time to get to know the characters and their world. We feel Grace's frustration as she tries to protect her children and maintain control in a house where everything feels just a little bit off. The pacing makes the mansion itself feel like a living, breathing presence. Every shadow, every closed door, and every soft footstep keeps us on edge. But don't mistake slow burn for boring. As the story unfolds, the tension starts to grow faster and faster, almost like a snowball rolling down a hill. By the time you get to the climax, the story has picked up so much energy that it feels like a storm is crashing down. This build-up makes the ending hit even harder because you've been holding your breath, waiting for everything to fall into place. Now, let's talk about the twists and turns. One of the best things about The Others is how it keeps us guessing. Every time we think we've figured it out, the story shifts in a new direction. It's not just a simple boo, scare, or surprising reveal. It's the kind of twist that changes the way we see the entire movie. Once the big twist happens, we start thinking back to earlier scenes, realizing how cleverly everything was set up. This kind of twist doesn't just shock us, it makes us want to watch the movie all over again. Knowing the ending, we start to notice little clues and details that we missed the first time. That's the mark of a truly great plot twist. It doesn't just surprise us, it enriches the whole story. And then there's the ending, and without giving away any spoilers, let's just say that the conclusion of The Others is one of those rare moments in horror where everything comes together perfectly. The film doesn't just rely on scary moments to keep us hooked, it gives us an emotional payoff. The ending is both shocking and deeply satisfying because it ties up all the loose ends in a meaningful way. Even though the film does leave us with some lingering questions, like all great psychological horror should, it doesn't feel unfinished. Instead, those questions make the story stay with us. We find ourselves thinking about the characters, their choices, and what it all means. That's the power of The Others. It's a slow, thoughtful movie that builds to a climax you'll never forget, leaving a lasting impression that's both emotional and chilling. Whether you love a good mystery or enjoy unraveling a story piece by piece, The Others delivers pacing and plot structure that will keep you captivated from start to finish. It's not just about what happens, it's about how it makes you feel every step of the way. When we talk about the impact of The Others, it's clear that this movie made a big mark on the psychological horror genre. Let's break it down into a few important areas: its influence on other films, how it was received by audiences and the critics when it first came out, and, lastly, the love it has earned over the years. The Others stands out as one of the best examples of psychological horror. What makes it so special is how it relies more on suspense and mystery than jump scares or gore. This movie teaches us that what we don't see can be even scarier than what we do. This idea inspired other films to explore similar themes, like The Orphanage and The Babadook, both of which also used a mix of isolation, family dynamics, and eerie atmosphere to create unforgettable chills. In addition, The Others showed how horror doesn't have to rely on over-the-top action or special effects to be powerful. Instead, it uses a slow and steady build-up, creating tension that pulls the viewer deeper into the story. Many filmmakers have followed in its footsteps, proving that psychological horror can be just as terrifying, or even more scary, than traditional horror movies. When The Others hit theaters in 2001, audiences were blown away. The film wasn't just scary, it was smart. People loved how the story kept them guessing right up until the very end. It wasn't about cheap thrills, it was about creating a mystery that was as intriguing as it was creepy. Critics were just as impressed. Nicole Kidman's performance as Grace received a lot of praise for how emotional and intense it was. Critics also admired the movie's storytelling, with some calling it a modern take on old-fashioned ghost stories. Its clever twists and haunting atmosphere made it stand out in a year filled with action-packed blockbusters. The Others also did well at the box office, earning over $200 million worldwide, a huge success for a horror movie, and proved that audiences were hungry for more thoughtful and atmospheric horror films. Over time, The Others has become a favorite among fans of psychological and supernatural horror. What's interesting is how people keep discovering new layers in the story, even years after watching it for the first time. The themes of grief, denial, and fear of the unknown resonate with viewers, giving the movie a timeless quality. Fans also appreciate how the movie's twist ending stays with you. It's the kind of twist that makes you want to watch the film again, just to pick up on all the clues you might have missed the first time. This rewatchability has helped The Others maintain its popularity over the years. The movie's success has earned it a special place in horror history. For many people, it's one of those films that gets mentioned alongside The Sixth Sense or Psycho when talking about some of the best psychological horror movies of all time. The Others has had a lasting impact because of its unique approach to horror. It proved that you don't need loud noises, gory monsters, any of that to create a truly terrifying experience. Instead, it's all about the atmosphere, the mystery, and the way the story makes you think. Whether you're a die-hard horror fan or just someone who loves a good ghost story, The Others is a movie that sticks with you, haunting you in the best possible way. Now for my final thoughts and rating. The Others is a fantastic example of psychological horror, where the focus isn't just on what you see, but on how it makes you feel. The atmosphere is one of the biggest strengths. The old mansion, the dim lighting, and the eerie sounds all come together to create a feeling of unease. The tension builds slowly, which some people might find a bit slow, but if you have the patience to let it unfold, it really pays off in the end. Another strong point of the movie is the performances. Nicole Kidman as Grace does an incredible job of showing the character's fear, frustration, and confusion as she starts to question what's real and what's not. The supporting characters, including the servants and the children, are all important in building the mystery and adding to the suspense. Every actor brings something special to the story, making it feel real and intense. One of the things I really appreciate about The Others is its ability to keep me guessing. It's not just the type of horror where I knew exactly what was going on right away. Instead, it played with my mind and challenged me to figure out the truth along with the characters. The story is full of twists and turns, and just when I thought I knew what was happening, something else happened that completely changed my perspective. That element of surprise is what makes the movie so memorable. Some viewers might find the pacing a little slow. It's not full of jump scares or fast action scenes. Instead, it focuses on building a real sense of dread, piece by piece. For those who enjoy horror that doesn't rely on loud noises and sudden scares, but instead uses atmosphere and psychology to create fear, The Others is a perfect fit. However, if you're someone who prefers faster-paced horror, you might need some patience to stick with this. Overall, I would rate The Others an 8 out of 10. It's a really well-crafted film that makes you think while also delivering on the creepy, unsettling feeling that psychological horror fans love. If you're someone who enjoys movies that make you question what's real and what isn't, or if you like suspenseful horror that builds up slowly, then this is definitely a must-watch. It's smart, it's creepy, and it's unforgettable. So if you haven't seen The Others yet, I highly recommend giving it a try. Just remember, the longer you stick with it, the more satisfying the experience will be. Thank you so much for joining me today as we explored the chilling world of The Others. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the best psychological horror films out there. There's so much to unpack in this movie, and it's always great to dive into the details with you. If you had fun and want to hear more episodes like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on the next one. Also, I'd love to hear your thoughts on The Others. What did you think of the twist? How did it change your perspective on the whole film? Leave a review wherever you're listening. Be sure to share your opinions with me on social media over at Threads and Instagram at RealRealTalk, or at email therealrealtalk@gmail.com. I really appreciate hearing from you, and your feedback helps me make the podcast even better. If you're enjoying the show, please take a moment to share it with a friend who loves a good scare. Whether they're into creepy films or just love to dig deep into horror, this show is for them too. Next time, we'll be talking about another psychological thriller, 2000's What Lies Beneath. It's another movie that plays with the idea of paranoia, hidden secrets, and the fear of not knowing who or what to trust. You won't want to miss this one. It's packed with twists and surprises that'll keep you on the edge of your seat. Until then, remember to stay curious about the world around you. Keep questioning what's real. And of course, keep the lights on when the shadows start getting a little too close.
dark, whispers in the midnight park. The night is cold, there's no escape. Ghostly figures take their shape. Play a twisted game. Fear and terror stake their claim. Footsteps follow close behind. Haunting thoughts invade your mind. Run away, but they won't go. In the darkness, fear will grow. Midnight shadows come to play. In your dreams, they'll always stay. Windows rattle, doors they creak. Ghostly whispers start to speak. Every corner hides a fear. Close your eyes, they're drawing near. Candles flicker,